Hello, students. Welcome back to Fiesta Gardens Library. Happy 2021. I hope this year brings you much joy and happiness and good health. And I also hope that we get to be in the library together soon. In 2 weeks, we will be celebrating Martin Luther King Jr. Day. So I thought we would start this week with reading a story about him. Martin Luther King Day by Linda Lowery. It was Monday, January 20th, 1986, 35 years ago. Church bells rang out across America. There were parades in Chicago and marches in New York City. 400 people rode a freedom train across the state of Washington. Why was everybody celebrating? Leaders from all over the world met in Atlanta, Georgia. They talked about peace and justice. In Arizona, children let hundreds of balloons fly up to fill the sky with color. People were celebrating from Alaska to Florida, from Hawaii to Washington, D.C. Why? It was the first time Americans had celebrated Martin Luther King's birthday as a national holiday. More than 27 countries across the world celebrated too. People talked about how Dr. King had made the world a better place. Who was Martin Luther King Jr.? How did he make the world better? Martin Luther King Jr. was born on January 15, 1929. When he was little, his family called him ML for Martin Luther. He lived with his parents, his sister, and his brother in a big house on Auburn Avenue in Atlanta, Georgia. ML felt safe and happy in his home. 3 blocks away was another place ML loved to be. It was the Ebenezer Baptist Church. His father was the minister there. His mother led the choir. ML's parents had some firm rules for their family. No matter what the children were doing, they always had to be home for supper. Supper time was important. It was at the dinner table that ML's father and mother taught him one of the most important lessons of life. They taught him to treat all people with respect. All people. Not everyone in Atlanta knew how to treat others with respect. As ML grew older, he saw that white people and black people were treated differently. ML and his white friends could not drink from the same water fountains. They could not even use the same public restrooms. ML's best friend was white. From the time they could walk, the two friends had played together on Auburn Avenue. Then came their first day of school. ML was sent to a school for black children. His friend was sent to a school with other white children. After school, ML ran to see his friend. When he knocked on the door, his friend's mother said that her son was too busy to come out and play. She said he was busy the next day and the next. ML and his friend were never allowed to play together again. ML finally asked his mother why he could not play with his best friend. ML's mother took him onto her lap. It was because ML was black and his friend was white, she explained. His friend's parents didn't want their son to play with a black child. ML did not understand. He knew that the color of his skin should not make any difference to his friend's parents. ML's mother held him tight. "You are as good as anyone," she told him. "Doesn't matter what color your skin is." It just did not seem fair to ML. When he grew up, he thought he would try to change things. ML worked very hard in school. He had always loved learning the big words his father used when he preached. Now was his chance to learn how to use those big words. He hoped that someday he could use powerful words to tell people about respecting others. Martin studied so hard that he started college when he was only 15 years old. Martin never stopped thinking about how he could make the world a better place. He thought about being a doctor and helping people when they were sick. He thought about being a lawyer so that he could help people who were in trouble with the law. Finally, Martin made up his mind. He decided to become a preacher, like his father and grandfather. A preacher, a man who works at the church. Your minister, your reverend. He went to a school for ministers. It was there that Martin learned about Mohandas Gandhi, a man who showed the people of India peaceful ways to change the unjust laws of their government. Gandhi did not use violence. Martin read everything he could find about Gandhi. He began to think about ways he could use his own preaching to teach others some of Gandhi's ideas. Martin went to yet another school, this time in Boston. By studying even more about being a minister, he earned the title of doctor. Now he was called Dr. King. While he was living in Boston, he met a woman named Coretta Scott. They were married on June 18, 1953. Less than a year later, people from a church in Montgomery, Alabama, asked Dr. King to be their minister. In Montgomery, Black people had been angry for many years about unjust laws and unequal treatment. Dr. King hoped he could solve those problems by preaching and talking about respect and justice. He and Mrs. King decided, yes, to move to Montgomery. Soon after they arrived, Dr. King became more involved in the problems than he had ever imagined he would. In Montgomery, Black people had to sit at the back of the bus. When white people got on a full bus, Black people had to give them their seats. It was a law. On December 1, 1955, a woman named Rosa Parks got on a bus after a hard day at work. She was very tired and she was happy to finally sit down. The bus driver told Mrs. Parks to give her seat to a white man. Mrs. Parks said no. She had paid her money to ride the bus. She wanted to be treated the same as the white man. The driver called the police and they came and arrested Mrs. Parks. Many people in Montgomery felt that Mrs. Parks had not been treated right. They wanted to change the unjust law. They asked Dr. King to help them. Dr. King and other Black leaders worked out a plan. They asked Black people to stay off the buses so the bus company would lose a lot of money. Black people walked or took taxis or rode together in cars to get to work. Black people would not ride the buses until the unjust law was changed. It took a year of a lot of work from many people, but finally, Dr. King's plan was successful. The law was changed. Black people could sit in any seat on the bus. Martin Luther King continued to work to solve the problems of Black people. Dr. King also worked to help poor people gain their rights. He tried to help all Americans who were being treated unjustly. In April 1968, he went to Tennessee to help a group of garbage workers. While standing on the balcony outside his motel room, Dr. King was assassinated. He was killed. People all over the world were shocked, angry, and oh, so sad. Though Dr. King is now gone, he left us with his dream. Dr. King's work was so important that many people wanted to honor him. They wanted to celebrate his birthday as a national holiday. On Martin Luther King Day, we take time to remember what Dr. King did to make our world a better place. Even more, we try to think of ways that we can live Dr. King's dream each day. He dreamed of love, peace, and justice. He dreamed that we can all work together, no matter what color our skin is. He worked hard for his dream. Now it is our turn. The end. This book was written a long time ago, but is still our turn to continue the work of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. My favorite part about him is how he did not ever use violence. It was all about peace and love. We'll read more about Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. in the coming weeks. I hope you enjoyed. Bye-bye, boys and girls.